Welcome to this week's Movie Math, where, whew, diversity scored a much-needed win. Yes, it was scary there last week when the internet barfed all over the new Ghostbusters trailer. Plus, there were some unfortunate comments on my Friday video about the future of LGBT characters in mainstream movies. Would some moviegoers begin taking a stand against diversity as they have in the U.S. presidential primaries and the refugee crisis in Europe? Would all progress be destroyed? It's not so clear-cut right now, but at least Zootopia stands as a shining city on a box office hill. As Shakira's gazelle says in the movie, it's an example of all animals living together in harmony. And it would seem that all the animals indeed paid to see Zootopia this weekend because it's also currently afloat on a sea of money. Zootopia delivered the biggest debut ever for Disney Animation, proving that post-Walt and post-Howard Ashman, they weren't one-hit wonders with Frozen. In fact, it's interesting that a central figure hasn't emerged to take responsibility for the latest Disney renaissance. Perhaps partially because Disney Animation is still on somewhat uneven footing. Still, John Lasseter could take credit, but then so could Frozen's Jennifer Lee, who helped tweak Zootopia. She did not contribute to Big Hero 6, which was light on message compared to Frozen and Zootopia. Although Disney Animation better hope Lee isn't their new Walter Ashman because she's heading over to live action already, scripting A Wrinkle in Time to be directed by Ava DuVernay. She also did not contribute to Moana, the princess movie that Disney Animation has made a rush job and which will debut this Thanksgiving. Moana was supposed to inherit Frozen's mantle of success and still could, but Zootopia just raised the bar. Literally. Yes, Zootopia opened higher than Frozen and has already passed 200 million worldwide. It's still about 100 million behind Kung Fu Panda 3 and couldn't match the Oriental DreamWorks flick's debut in the Middle Kingdom. But Zootopia can boast the biggest debut in China ever for Disney Animation and Pixar. Ah yes, the friendly in-house competition between Step Studios, Disney Animation, and Pixar. Pixar is still firmly in the lead with both Oscars and box office debuts, but it would seem perhaps John Lasseter does love both his children equally after all. Zootopia is the 9th biggest debut ever for an animated film, not counting for inflation, and a major win for the animation industry overall, proving that the medium can still compete with live action after smaller domestic debuts for Kung Fu Panda 3, The Good Dinosaur, The Peanuts Movie, and Hotel Transylvania 2. It's also great to see Hollywood carving out another movie season, as previously animation could only post these kinds of numbers during the summer or holiday season. With such a strong March performance, easily besting DreamWorks Animation's last 2 spring break movies, Home and Mr. Peabody and Sherman, and with Batman v Superman also hopefully delivering an eye-popping debut later this month, it looks like we have yet another time of year in play after February was just recently turned into a big movie-going month. Next on Hollywood's makeover list, January! Move over, Henry Higgins! But while Disney Animation soared to new heights, Gerard Butler and Tina Fey didn't exactly have cause to celebrate. Understandably, Butler had thrown over Gods of Egypt to instead publicize his sequel, London Has Fallen. Because not only was Gods of Egypt a PR nightmare, but with Fallen, movies that Butler produces himself, the actor is trying to fan the first genuine spark his career has seen in years and turn it into a flaming franchise. But unfortunately, Butler doesn't have a bonfire just yet, as London Has Fallen opened lower than Olympus Has Fallen, and sequels are supposed to go in the other direction. However, it was ridiculously bad timing to release the 2 Butler films just a week apart, and it would seem the more important film to Butler's career suffered for it. Don't feel too bad for Butler, though, as the $140 million price tag for Gods of Egypt likely means he earned a hefty paycheck for that role. And if history has proven anything, besides that the Gods of Egypt were not white, it's that paycheck gigs are never worth it. At least London Has Fallen was made for a mere $60 million and should be able to recoup its costs and maybe even turn a profit with its worldwide box office and ancillary revenue later on down the line. Speaking of gods of Egypt, surprisingly, the much ridiculed flick fell under 70% in its second weekend, yet is only up to 72 million worldwide, less than Zootopia's domestic debut. China could save yet another Hollywood blunder, though, as the Middle Kingdom loves VFX in 3D, of which Gods of Egypt has plenty, and opens there this Friday. And moviegoers are certainly out in full force in China, as they've just powered Stephen Chow's The Mermaid past the 500 million mark. Only 7 movies have ever grossed more than 500 million in a single country, and The Mermaid is the first to do so not in the United States. As for the weekend's other new wide release, Tina Fey's dream of becoming just an actress rather than a writer-actress continued to wither and die. While things had seemed to get off to a good start with Date Night back in 2010, they've only gone downhill from there. For a moment, Fey had seemed to stop the bleeding with Sisters, but Whiskey Tango Foxtrot put her right back where she was with Admission. Although, while it's easy to blame Fey, and certainly preferable to blaming rising co-star Margot Robbie, it's also worth noting that this is basically another TV movie that Hollywood has asked moviegoers to pay big screen prices to see. Because honestly, if Whiskey Tango Foxtrot had come out on streaming this weekend, wouldn't you have watched it? Okay, maybe it is Fey. As for the rest of the box office, Deadpool finally slipped from first position, but who cares, as he's closing in on 700 million worldwide. Remember though, he has to surpass 742 million to replace The Matrix Reloaded as the highest grossing R-rated film of all time. With no China release, will Deadpool be able to get it up? Zootopia's success sidelined Poor Po as well as family-friendly pick Eddie the Eagle. But The Revenant enjoyed a slight Oscar bump, or more like Oscar save, as it dropped just about 16% from last weekend and rose from 10th to 8th place in the wake of Leo's historic win. Best Picture winner Spotlight also surged, but it probably did even bigger business on iTunes, where it's also now available. How about Spotlight? Did you try that movie for $6 at home? Finally, speaking of awards fair, or at least supposed awards fair, Knight of Cups debuted in limited release and should have realized things were bad when its biggest headlines were for Christian Bale's confessions during junket interviews for that movie that he wasn't happy with his performance as Batman. Terrence Malick has never been a box office heavyweight, but this debut was as light as you can get. As for this coming weekend, Zootopia might not get to dominate for weeks on end a la Deadpool, as 10 Cloverfield Lane is expected to be a strong contender. The brothers Grimsby and the Young Messiah, though, not so much. And that's the weekend box office. I'm Grace Randolph, and we just did some movie math. As always, thanks for watching, and I hope you'll go beyond the trailer for these other top movies.